let's hear about cycle and on-chain analysis from the Rational Root. Welcome, Rational Root.
Hello, Prague. It's nice to be here. Such a good vibe. My name is Root, the Rational Root. I'm the carrot who is fascinated by cycle and on-chain analysis. And today I want to really provide you with a new dimension to the Bitcoin cycles. And cycle analysis. Bitcoin tends to move in this 4-year cycle. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And the interesting thing about each cycle is that we kind of move into a new range. So we go from the hundreds of dollars range to the thousands of dollars range, to the tens of $1,000 range, and to the $100,000 range. And if we plot the Bitcoin price in this particular shape, the spiral chart, I assume many of you have seen the spiral chart, and maybe you can raise some hands if you're familiar with the spiral chart. But the interesting thing about the spiral chart is that because we plot Bitcoin over a 4-year time period, which is one rotation, which starts at the top and then we move in the cycle, we get this pattern where Bitcoin is expanding. And so the Bitcoin price, because Bitcoin moves in this 4-year cycle, the lines never cross each other. And so it's not that Bitcoin never falls below the price of a previous cycle, but it's because Bitcoin moves in this 4-year cycle, the lines never cross each other. And so the interesting thing here is that without any additional metric, just price, we can kind of see where Bitcoin is going next. And so in the next 6 months, we will reach the top of that chart again. And it looks like, if history is any indicator, that we're going to go to this new range. Obviously, I cannot predict the future. Maybe the lines will cross, and history is not a good indicator. But we will see, obviously. Now, the thing I want to talk about today is price, because everyone thinks about price a lot. Price is an important metric. But usually people think about price and they think about the rate of adoption or their own portfolio. But price really is the metric that encapsulates the entire market state. So the whole state of the market, everything that's going on, the conference today, is reflected in the Bitcoin price. And so really this is quite similar to a hash function within Bitcoin. For example, if we have a piece of data and we convert that into a hash, we can go from the data to the hash, but we cannot go from the hash back to the data. And so the same thing is true for the market state. So we have this entire market state, which is compressed into price. And we cannot go back from price to this entire market state. Now, technical analysis, for example, tries to reveal just this little bit about that market state, which gives this additional edge. But the cool thing about Bitcoin is that we have this ledger, the digital ledger, really, which is new with Bitcoin, that stores all of Bitcoin's transactions and reveals more information about that market state. And so we get additional edge here. And so, for example, we can look at levels like profit and loss in the market, or we can look at the average purchase price of people that are only a short time in the market, and that is the green line that's projected on its screen there. And this is quite useful because price tends to bounce off that green line often because people are at par with their investment. And so if we apply that metric to the spiral chart, we can color code the spiral chart, and we can see that in the top right of the spiral chart, we have these bull markets. We see these dark green colors. And in the bottom right of the chart, we have these dark red colors, which are the bear markets. So on-chain analysis, and I use it on a daily basis, it's actually why most people follow me. is a very useful tool. So it gives this, besides just price information, which in TA we, for example, we try to, by looking at, for example, the momentum of that price to just get this slight additional edge. On-chain really is a new perspective to the Bitcoin market state to reveal just that extra bit of information to that market stage, which gives this additional edge. And this got me thinking, like, is there a way to reconstruct more of that market state? And so the analogy here is actually, it got me thinking about Charles Xavier from the X-Man. He has this machine where it's called Cerebro, where he can see the entire market state, and it's almost like too powerful for him to handle. And so I told you I was going to provide you with a new dimension to the Bitcoin market cycle. And so what I tried to do is build a new data set, which are these blue dots that you can see appearing, to reveal just even more information about that market state. So just get that little extra edge. And so this I call it the market state. And so it's a new tool, data set, to, besides the information which we have from price and on-chain analysis, to have this new tool. And so this tool is actually built with all kinds of events that happen in the Bitcoin market cycle. And so I gathered all kinds of news and headlines. And so there's a lot of data. And to interpret all of that data, I used AI. And today I want to give you a bit of a sneak preview to this tool, which will become available in 3D to you. And so let's look at our data set. So I told you I have a new dimension here. And the third dimension here is actually Bitcoin's volatility. So the surface of our spiral chart is now flat. And we can see that all dots, which are all kinds of events that happen, they either are high above that surface or high below that surface. And so this allows us to filter our data set based on volatility. So for example, we can filter out the days that have relatively low volatility because they're less significant events. And so only the more relevant events will stay. And so if we then look at the center of this graph, we can see that we have very high volatility, and those are days and news events from the 2010 era. So the Bitcoin price went from below a cent to a cent, and so these are percentage-wise, there's very high volatility, and so those lay very high above and below the surface. But there are also some dots because the further we spin out, the further we are in the adoption of Bitcoin. And so, for example, this dot here, which is 50% below the surface, that was actually the COVID event. So we can see that in the data. Now we can filter, we can adjust that filter of volatility filter however we want. And we can also search through our data set. So maybe let's try to search through our data set, and maybe we can search for all-time highs. So if we look at the all-time highs now, we can see that certainly in the top in the first quadrant of our spiral chart, all those dots start to appear, which are relevant to the all-time highs, and that's obviously because all these bull markets align in that quadrant. Let's do some other searches. So if we search, for example, for bottom. So if we search for bottom, we see that in the south of the chart, now these dots start to line up. And that is actually the area where we always bottomed out. And particularly interesting here is that in the last cycle, which is the 2022 bear market, we saw a lot of bottom calls, apparently. And this was actually during all these liquidation events from Terra Luna until FTX. And so there were definitely more bottom calls there in that last cycle. Let's do some other searches. So maybe halving. And so if we look for the halving, we see two particular spots that light up. And that is the halving from just the past halving that we had and the halving from 4 years ago. Interesting is that there was a lot more hype around these halvings than the one from than the second halving, which is the previous cycle. There's almost no blue dots, and we can also see that towards that halving, we already see that the hype is kind of starting with those. People are starting to talk about that leading up to that halving. Now we can also do some other searches. So let's look for ETF. So if you look for the ETF, we see that in the 2020, 2021 bull market there, that's on the right side of that spiral chart, there are quite some dots. And on the left side of the dot, that's with the ETF approval, that's the year 2024. So the 2020, 2021 bull market, those were actually future ETFs rather than spot ETFs. So we're more interested in spot ETFs because those are the ETFs who actually have Bitcoin as the underlying asset. And so we can refine our search to the spot ETFs. And then we see that only on that left side of the chart, these events start to line up. Now, let's maybe additionally go through scroll through the history of, so you have a better understanding of what this data set is about. And so I thought of starting at block 0. We'll just so, and obviously we're only looking here at the headlines, but for each event, basically, so this is a summary, which is AI generated, but we can click through and we can actually go to links and articles around that day for more information. So here we are at block 0, where was obviously the creation of the Bitcoin network. And then we move already to January 12th, where it was actually the first transaction for the Guinness World Record. That was when Satoshi sent Bitcoin to Hal Finney. It was the first transaction. I believe it was 10 Bitcoin. And let's go further in our data set. Obviously, there were a lot of all-time highs in those early days in 2010. We see those dots appear quite high above the surface. And we made the all-time high of $30 in 2011, and then we got the Mt. Gox hack. This was actually not the real Mt. Gox hack. This was one that happened earlier. That was only a couple thousand Bitcoin, so it served as a warning signal. But people apparently need to learn the hard way. And then we go further in our cycles. Now we're in 2013 already. And we start rotating. And here we actually had the FBI shut down Silk Road, for example. And we are in the bull market here. We're at $1,100. And then we had a China ban on Bitcoin transactions. And that kind of got our market to move back down. And then we had the real Mt. Gox hack. So this was actually 850,000 Bitcoin that was hacked. And that was 7% of the supply at the time. It's pretty amazing. Then we're already in 2014, so we had some scaling debates starting to appear, proposals for the hard fork, and so that started to turn out. And we go to 2015 now, and let's see, we had the cycle bottom here. We went all the way from $1,200 in 2013 to this $160. And we continue to rotate, so now we're in 2015. We saw the block size debate actually intensify here. And let's spin further. So we are in 2016 now. We had the halving. We had a price drop, 5%. That was actually the halving when we went from 25 Bitcoin per block to 12.5 Bitcoin per block. And let's see where we go. We spin further. We're in 2017 now. We had SegWit activated. And so this allowed for the Lightning Network to for scaling solutions such as the Lightning Network. And we're in the bull market again, and we had a China crackdown on exchanges. And then we are at the 2017 all-time high. And actually here we surpassed the IMF's SDR. I didn't know before using this tool that we did there, but so it's kind of interesting. The IMF's international reserves, we already surpassed that in 2017 in terms of market cap. And then we spin further. We're in 2018 now. We made the cycle bottom there around 3,000. And we continue 2019. This was when Facebook and started to announce plans like Libra, which didn't go through. So here we're really in that new range of the 10,000s where we kind of hovered for a while. And then the market falls 50%. This was, see how far that dot is below the surface. That is the COVID event, actually. And we soon recovered. We went again past 10,000, and so we had the halving event, and we continued kind of into more upward momentum. But we still had the U.S. government, seized $1 billion from Silk Road, and I think then we surpassed 35,000, and we started reaching the $1 trillion market cap, which was really quite a significant step. And then El Salvador, really amazing step. So early on, they went on the Bitcoin standard, and we're again in a bull market. And we had again the China cracked down on mining, so we had a quite significant drop there in hash rate. And let's continue. So we had the Taproot activation in 2021, and this allowed for more efficiency of multisig, but also had some side effects like ordinals. And then we had all-time high of 2020 in 2021, and we moved back into to the bear market, and some rumors started to appear about the 150,000 recovered coins from Mt. Gox, which possibly might be released later this year, but it will happen gradually, so I don't expect too much on the market there. And these were all the liquidations events where they happened. So it ended kind of with FTX blow up, and then we had soon after we had I think the bottom there, and people were that's when traders were calling for sub 14K, and that marked the bottom, and then we started to gradually move up again. Bitcoin gained some momentum, and this was the banking crisis rally. And we also green mining started to become more of a thing, positive for Bitcoin. And then we surpassed 28,000. We started to live up a little more to the ETFs. And at the 10th of January, we are here. It's when the SEC approved the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Everyone probably is familiar with that event still. It was recent and an important event because Bitcoin is now recognized as an institutional grade asset, which will be great for adoption in the traditional financial market. And so then we had, because we now have state pension funds that are starting to invest in Bitcoin, and we're only at the beginning, but it's interesting to see these news events starting to appear. And then we are at the end where we are today. Well, it's the 4th of June, but today I had to hand in the presentation. And particularly interesting about this day, for example, is that we saw significant inflows in ETFs, but also we had a new spot ETF launch. And for example, this day, the Thailand spot ETF was approved. And I tracked the Bitcoin spot ETFs, but I didn't know about Thailand. Obviously, Bitcoin is a global phenomenon, and so I hope you have a bit of a better understanding what this tool offers. You can basically scroll through through the whole history of Bitcoin and click on any day, and this will help to just get that extra little edge. And so I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for your attention. The next time I'll bring some carrots next. So you can follow me at The Rational Root. I'm on X or Nostr. Feel free to shoot me a DM if you want to get in touch. Or you can go to the Bitcoin Strategy platform, where I will keep you updated on when the exact date of launch of this new tool. So I hope you enjoyed that. Have a great time at Prague. I'm really enjoying my time. So I'll be watch out for anyone eating some carrots next to you. Thank you.